After surviving an unforeseeable in-house dispute between certain ex-employees of Infinity Ward and the powers that be at Activision, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 suffered a relatively turbulent beginning. The loss of a number of high-profile key members of staff was an unfortunate predicament, though the initial debate as to whether this signaled the demise of the franchise was perhaps somewhat exaggerated. However, backed by publishing power, a welcome show of support from a developer known as Sledgehammer Games, and a tried-and-tested formula, the company regrouped like a typical war-hardened unit, valiantly soldiering on. The question is, did this unlikely set of circumstances hinder the final product? In short, yes and no. Modern Warfare 3 is another action-fueled blockbuster, one that will no doubt produce another chart-smashing trend of record sales, but ultimately leaves us fatigued as we're forced to endure the same experience we loved in 2007, enjoyed in 2009, and are just frankly getting tired of by now. The story picks up immediately after the events of Modern Warfare 2. Soap, though considerably worse for wear, is reunited with his brother-in-arms, the brilliant and strangely charismatic Captain Price, whose nemesis Vladimir Makarov has resurfaced, and is consequently causing all sorts of unruly hell. Determined to see the world burn, Makarov has waged an all-out war on Europe and America. The onus falls upon Soap, Captain Price, and the armies of the invaded nations to put an end to Makarov's reign of terror once and for all. What precedes the penultimate conclusion of the trilogy, though we strongly doubt this will be the last iteration of the franchise, is around 6 hours of explosions, gloriously scripted set pieces, failed rescue attempts, shooting, reloading, rinse, repeat. Many awe-inspiring moments are scattered along the way, such as falling through a multi-story car park in a tank. Yeah, you heard right. It's 100 miles per hour, balls-to-the-wall action from start to finish. If Michael Bay produced a video game, this would undoubtedly be it. Not surprisingly, Infinity Ward opted to avoid building upon Modern Warfare's controversial reputation with a notable absence of a sequel to the airport mission No Russian in Modern Warfare 2. Instead, the developer focused on bringing the war to recognizable global locations, such as London, New York, and Paris, which was presumably aimed at providing a greater, more personal reaction to the horror of Makarov's actions. We, however, found ourselves completely unmoved by Infinity Ward's attempt to establish an emotional connection. The game's greatest strength and greatest weakness is familiarity. Trust us when we say that Modern Warfare 3 is an unashamedly near-identical experience to what you've already played. You've got all the telltale signs of the COD experience, the death quotes, the grenade indicators, the exact same HUD display, the slow-motion door breaches, the illuminated objectives, the simple menu layout, the collectible pieces of intel, the situation-based items, such as the ability to call Predator missiles, the shoot, cover, reload mechanic, the same damage screen, the obsceling sections, and the wait for them to pass, alright, take them out, scripted stealth missions. Add the linearity, an aging graphics engine, and a few new forgettable weapons, and you've got what could only be classed as a rebranded expansion pack. Everything works as it should, and the 60 frame per second performance does provide the trademark fluid twitch gameplay, which is still a strong point, but it's just not good enough anymore. The multiplayer is comprised of the usual modes, deathmatch, team deathmatch, confirm kill. The new elite mode is basically your stat tracking hub. In the Spec Ops mode, you can tackle different objectives, and in survival mode, you can face wave after wave of enemy. Basically, Infinity Ward's interpretation of the Horde mode in Gears or the zombie mode in Treyarch's branch of the franchise. It's all still very well intact and much more enjoyable than the single-player experience, although if there's one criticism about the multiplayer and gameplay, it's that Modern Warfare has always been about reflexes over skill. This is not Counter-Strike, it's you see a guy, you better shoot quick. So casual gamers jumping in may find themselves very well just like Jonah Hill in the touted commercial. The franchise is a global phenomenon. It's one of the most recognizable brands in gaming today, supported by one of the biggest publishers in the industry. Yet year after year, under a new title, a COD game is recycled, spat out to fans with a ludicrous price tag, including the wave of overpriced DLC released later down the line. And yet millions upon millions of players lap it up. Why? The hell if we know. One can only presume it's the multiplayer component, yet it's still really getting fatigued at this point. Here's our ultimate verdict. Some say that familiarity breeds contempt. Others believe that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Depending on which camp you reside, will ultimately be the deciding factor as to whether you perceive Modern Warfare 3 as to be a triumph or an eerily unpleasant case of blatant recycling. Call of Duty claimed the recent FPS crowd thanks to an innovative, exciting multiplayer component and fluid, exciting action. But 5 years later, this exact formula has bored us to tears. We genuinely feel at this point that we're just banging our heads against a brick wall, desperate for Infinity Ward and gamers to wake up and demand something more than a rehash. Yet, we can only hope this day comes sooner rather than later.